Hey guys, it's Tresa. Welcome back if you've been here hanging out with me for a little bit. And if you're new to my channel, I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome. God bless you. And I have been doing these chats once in a while. I don't have coffee. It's actually late afternoon where I am, and I'm baking cookies. So we'll call this one a cookie chat. I had given up coffee actually for Lent, and I did have a really nice cup of coffee on Easter and another one yesterday. But it's late in the day. Can't do coffee now. So these are actually sourdough chocolate chip cookies. And that leads me to what I wanted to talk about today, because I have to tell you, they're really good. I let them sit in the fridge for like over 2 days, and it just lets the dough kind of like really, as it sits longer, the sourdough kind of breaks things down more, and they're really yummy. So I have some in the oven, and I'm going to be baking some more. But I've been really having a lot of fun with sourdough. It's brand new to me. I had experimented with a starter back a few months ago. It didn't work. So then I tried again. I guess it was like February, early February. When I got it to work, I did a lot of reading and research and watching videos, and it was slow going. And then I read somewhere that if you had different kinds of flour, it might work. And I tried adding this sprouted wheat flour that I had, and things started to just go crazy. And I made a couple breads and muffins, and you can make so many things with sourdough starter. It's amazing. Pancakes are delicious. And I've had sourdough bread before, but a lot of places that you get it, it's not organic. You don't know what kind of flours they're using. And so that leads me back to my health journey, which back about, gosh, more than 10 years ago. I mean, probably my whole life growing up, when I go back and look at it, I had some sort of a gut health issue. I think dairy bothered me. I think, of course, processed foods weren't quite the same back, 50, 60 years ago when I was a kid. But as I got older, reflux really started to bother me a lot. And I found that I was snacking a lot, because if I snacked, then I didn't get heartburn, but I got like that funny taste in your mouth. And so I then tried to experiment some things a couple different times. Doctors tried putting me on medication. It always made me feel worse. It made me more bloated. It made my symptoms worse. Then when I went to health coaching school, I learned about these medications and what they do. And so then I started to really do a lot of research and just learning. And I thought that maybe it was gluten that was bothering me. So I went off gluten. My reflux went away. I had been for an endoscope, and it hadn't looked good. And they tried me on some medication again, which made me feel worse and made my symptoms worse. I took myself off the medication, and I went gluten-free. And about 6 months later, I went back for another endoscope, and the doctor said, "You're healing beautifully. Keep doing what you're doing." And I said, "Do you want to see me again?" And he said, "No, unless you have symptoms, you're good." And it was very strict gluten-free and very often grain-free. Those are my cookies. Another minute. For a very long time. And then over the course of the last several years, I've started experimenting a little bit. And I found that if I used an organic 00 Italian flour that was from Italy to make pizza crust, it didn't bother me. Now, I couldn't eat like an entire big pizza, but I could do a small little personal pizza and I would be fine. Of course, I take probiotics, I take digestive enzymes, and those all help too. But I started to really learn, and I know that processed foods absolutely or it's just, you know, and I've gotten more and more away from those as the years have gone by. But in the last couple of years, I've started to learn a lot about sourdough. And the more I learned about it, the more I was like, well, this could be really interesting. And last spring, winter and spring, I had spent a few months in Florida with my sister and her family down there. And when I did, we found a bakery that made organic sourdough bread. And so I tried it a couple times. And there's the cookies. I'm gonna get some in the oven, but let me finish chatting with you. So I tried their sourdough bread, and it was really good. And my sister loves to bake, and she was baking a lot of really delicious things. We had gone blueberry pecking. She made my grandmother's blueberry pie recipe. It was so good. And she was using the 00 Italian flour in a lot of things she was making. And as long as I didn't overdo it, I was feeling really good. So I started to just experiment a little bit more. And I can have, if it's homemade and like I made it, or like my daughter, my sister, somebody that I know is using organic ingredients and really good stuff, and I don't overdo it, I can have a little bit here and there, and I do really well with it. I think a lot of it has to do with the healing, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I also know that I'm eating really healthy other foods. I'm eating lots of fruits and vegetables, and, you know, taking my probiotics and my enzymes and really balancing things out in my gut. And I'm not eating bread and cookies all day long. You know, of course, that makes a big difference too. You know, getting lots of other and lots of good protein and stuff. So anyways, fast forward to the last few months when I've had this sourdough book, and I've been doing a lot of research online and watching people's videos. So I had experimented, failed, threw it out, started over, and it's been working great, and it's so bubbly, and I love it. I get so excited when I pull it out of the fridge and feed it, and it gets all bubbly and exciting. And so, and there's so many things you can make with sourdough. You can make pancakes and waffles and English muffins and all sorts of muffins and cookies and different kinds of breads. So I had pulled it out last week because I wanted to kind of play around and experiment with it again. And I fed it with a couple different kinds of flours to try over the course of a couple different days. And I had this emmer flour, which is also supposed to be a lower gluten content and more easier on your gut. And easier to digest. And so I'd gotten some of that, and I made an emmer loaf last week with the sourdough, like midweek. And then I fed my starter again because I'm trying to play around with the sourness too. And I fed it again with more all-purpose flour. And I've been getting most of my flours from Azure. They have really, really good flours and some really good farms and some of their own. Like their all-purpose flour, that's their brand, is amazing. I actually have a 10-pound bag coming, and I probably should have bought even more of that with my order this weekend. But anyways, and so then I started experimenting. So for Easter, I decided I wanted to make something different and try something fun. So I had plenty of starter because I'd really fed it a lot towards the end of last week. So I made cookies. I made the cookies, and I put the batter in, just let it sit in the fridge for 2 or 3 days. I made some yesterday, but then I let it sit another day, and I'm going to finish baking them tonight, and then I'll freeze what I don't eat. I mean, I'm not going to eat them all. There'll be a lot, so I'll freeze them. And I also made a chocolate babka, which was really fun to make. It's a wetter dough, but I did pretty well with it, and it actually came out great. I let it rise while I was at the Easter Vigil on Saturday night, and it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be when I got home, so I let it keep rising, and I got up early on Sunday morning and baked it before I went to brunch at my daughter and son-in-law's house, and it was really delicious. I have one little piece left, and so I've just been really having a lot of fun with sourdough. And I love that I can eat a little bit of, you know, something baked, and I know it's healthier for me. So like even this chocolate chip cookie there's a little piece of it here, but is healthier for me than just, I mean, it has some sugar in it, so it's not like I'm gonna eat a ton of them, and I'm not gonna make them every week, but to make them once in a while. And then of course, if you make them and you bake them and you freeze them, I'll put them in like a cookie tin lined with parchment, and I'll pop them in the freezer. And then if I want to grab a couple and take them out, warm them in the oven, and have a snack sometime, in, whatever I can. Or if I'm going somewhere or having people over and I want to pop some out and I'll have them, that's great. So I'm really, really having a lot of fun with sourdough, and I love that it's healthier for your gut and it makes it more digestible. And I am just a testament of, you are what you eat, and what you eat makes a difference in your health and how you feel. I've said this over and over again. I don't know if I've said it here, but I turned 60 at the end of last year, and at 60, I feel better than I did in my 30s. My gut is healthier. I have more energy. I do more fitness. And of course I teach some fitness too, so that means I have to be doing more, but still I love to get out for long walks and hikes, and I've started lifting weights and just doing a lot more fitness, stretching, cardio, all different, fitness. And I don't take any medication, not a prescription or over-the-counter anything ever anymore. And I feel great. I feel so good. I have so much energy. I'm super excited for once this snowstorm passes. I'm in New Hampshire, and it's April 2nd when I'm recording this. I'll probably put it up in the next couple days for you guys. And it was 60 degrees here yesterday, and sunny and beautiful. I was outside raking in the yard because I've got a million pine cones, and it was so beautiful in the sun. And I came inside, and I knew there was a storm coming, but we were under winter storm watch. And by this afternoon, we were under winter storm warning, and they're saying now 12, possibly some areas will be getting up to 18 inches of heavy wet snow, and it's going to be windy and cold for the next 2 days. And then we should hopefully be going back to spring by the time we get to the weekend or shortly after. But, I am loving life here in New Hampshire, and I can't wait for the weather to warm up so that I can get outside and be walking more, working in my yard, and getting some garden beds ready and planting. And just life is good. Life is really good. But you've got to take care of yourself, and you've got to eat well. And that's why I'm here on this Frugal from Scratch channel, because home cooking is so important, and it's simple. Healthy can be simple. Eat well and feed your family well, and you're all going to feel so much better and live a longer, healthier life. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video and my little story, and I'd love to hear from you. Do you bake with sourdough starter? And if you do, what are some of your favorite recipes? What are some of the favorite things that you make? If you've not tried it, are you curious about it? Do you want to learn more? Do you want me to share more about it here? Do you want me to share some of my sourdough adventures? I'm having lots of fun with it, but I'm not an expert. I'm a very, very new amateur sourdough baker, but I'm having lots of fun with it. And I know some other people that are experts. I have a friend that I'm going to try to get to come on and answer some questions and do some chatting with me about it. That's a pretty good, has been baking sourdough for a while, and she does some really cool things. But there's a million people online that are sharing all about sourdough, and many of them have been doing it for so long and are just so good at it. But if you want to learn more and you're curious, would you ever want to come bake with me in my kitchen, virtually or in person? I'm curious about that too. So leave some comments below and let me know your thoughts on all that. God bless you, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon.